Once again, we are broadcasting live from the heart of the continental United States and sailing the steel breeze of the World Wide Web. Welcome to the Nexus, everybody. Good evening. Blessed are you, O Lord, our God, ruler of the universe, who brings us life, who sanctifies us with his commandments, and has allowed us all to reach this occasion. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Nexus. It's a weekly time we spend, we'll get my camera back on here. A weekly time every week, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central, daylight or not, depends on what the government tells us the time is. We gather together and talk a bit of Torah, talk a bit of life and everything that has to do with it, which is pretty much all of Torah. I'm James at the Idol Smasher, buymeacoffee.com/the Idol Smasher. If you'd like to get some new material, maybe we can look over some midrash, maybe we can look over some Kabbalah. I don't know. I'm skeptical of Kabbalah because I find so little of it that's good written out there, and in my personal opinion. Yet that's what brought me here to the Torah, and what brings me to you. Yes, you, my favorite viewer. It's been a great week. I thank everybody for tuning in last week to the All-American Nexus. Be honest with you, I'm still in kind of an all-American mood. Speaking of all-American mood, beer in the Bible, that used to be part of the Nexus tradition back in the Noahide Nexus days. Nilva Nexus, Orphans of Abraham, Noah's Nest. That was a thing for a while. John took over, but I came back. So, John, if you're watching, get your butt in here. He always says he wants to join. I never see John join. Let's see if we can get him in here. In the chat, we're going to head and copy and paste a link to the room if you'd like to come in. And if you've got a question, comment, compliment, complaint, suggestion, or if you just want to hang out, you are more than welcome. Everybody's welcome here. I mean, we've had everybody from Muslims to atheists, anti-theists. We've had pagan folks. We've had like Wiccan pagan, and we've had like the Greek pagan guys in here. We've had everybody. Everybody's always welcome. If you want to talk some Torah and all things related to it. Now, Torah is like kung fu. Everything is kung fu. Everything is Torah. But that's where I come from. If you want to discuss or you want to debate, as long as you do it in good cheer, you are more than welcome to join here. And the link is right over here in the link. If you're watching on X, thank you so much. But you have to go to Rumble Studios. Go to Rumble. That's where we're broadcasting live from Rumble Studios. Or you can watch us on YouTube as well. We're at, and that's where you can find the link. Of course, that link is also given at the Orphans of Abraham on Facebook. And to all the folks who are still attending, who still pay attention to what goes on there, thank you so much. Hi, Carla. Hello. Shalom, Carla. It is good to see you. I know it's a little early for you to be joining right now, but thank you so much. It's good to have you here. I appreciate you stopping by. Carla's an old friend of the show. Not that she's old, but the show is older, and she's been with us a long time. Sorry, Carla, that didn't come out right. I apologize about that. So, okay, the United States is over there bombing Iran again. And a week ago, I posted a meme. It was a Babylon Bee headline. I don't have it uploaded right yet. And it said, Donald Trump beginning to believe Iran is not trustworthy. And, you wonder, and it was even brought up to his face by the press. One day you're saying that you had reasonable people you're speaking with and you're making headway, and now you call them kooks, because that's exactly what he called them. Kooks. They're out of their freaking mind. And he's like, well, I got to know him a little bit. And that Rubio just busted up laughing behind him. That's a good crew to have. That's a good crew to have up there. He hacks me off too, guys. Trump ain't perfect, but I love the man, and I'm glad that he's our president nonetheless. So tonight, Bible and a beer. This tonight is a kosher brew, one that had been discontinued for quite some time. There's a big hullabaloo about it, a big brouhaha. I get it, brouhaha. It's high. I'm a high life nut as far as domestic beer goes. That's really the only one I like, save Samuel Adams, that I will promote as a good beer. This is Highlight Life, and this is the only light beer that doesn't behave like one. I want to propose a toast because I'm still in a 250 mood. Got to blow up some stuff. It was wonderful. And just being up here in Kansas to hear this many people celebrating. And with all the controversy out there, I brought this up last week, and I'll tell you this. I worked on Independence Day. I worked 8 hours. And I said Happy 4th or Happy Independence Day to every customer I met. And I can tell you this. For all the controversy that's out there, and you hear a lot of controversy, I just want to say this. White folks responded. Some of them half cynically, most of them quite positively. Every single black person I met, Happy Independence Day, Happy 4th, just as much, or more maybe. I had a young man that I want to say might be Arab. He might be of that area over there. Okay. But by his tongue, I couldn't tell because he was very American. So it was hard to place the accent for me. Sometimes that's hard. Sometimes there's a gray area in some ways. Happy Independence Day, sir. And sir, I got the beard. Yeah, darn tootin' kid. Hindi Indian lady, East Indian, a Hindi lady. Thrilled that I said that and was so thrilled to say it back. I'm not kidding you. It was the Hispanics that didn't like hearing it. And one lady was looking and she just kept her head away from me, kept her eyes away, look around, and would answer my questions. When you're looking at a menu and you talk like you're talking on the back of your head, like they can hear you, they'll turn around, you can't hear nothing like that. That really saddens me. That saddens me because there was so much positivity on the 4th up here, and I can feel it still going on. I really can. So, there are countries that are older than us, but there aren't many governments older than us. A 250-year-old government, that's something to sing about. So thank you for all the many blessings that we have on this planet. Thank you for blessing me to be living here in the States. Here's to another 250, and may we get better. Maybe you learn from our mistakes. We tend to. We've made a few in recent years. We have to fix that. Here's to a strong and prosperous Israel. They're not backing down, baby, and they're growing, and they're still singing and dancing, still praising Hashem. So, on that, as I said in the last Nexus, be Pinchas, folks. L'chaim. And thank you, Lord, for beer. Beer is good. I love beer. It's up there close to Torah. Coffee, well, pretty close. Do love my beer. So I'm celebrating my first beer of the night with you. Thank you so much for being here. Have one of your own. If you are drinking a beer, tell me what you're drinking down below and why you like that beer. I've got I've got a couple things to talk about here. I've got a great essay from Dennis Prager that I want to read out of his Rational Bible. There's also a section I want to talk about the rules of engagement when it comes to warfare. The first war you can find documented in Genesis 14. This is the first war on the planet. As detestable as the human race was prior to the flood, pre-diluvian man, not something to be cheering about. But there was no war until these guys. And Avraham was a part of it. Avraham was a warrior, just as Moshe Rabbeinu is a warrior. They were both warriors. Great line. I've said this before from the Patriot. I know Melvin. He says some stupid shit. He does some stupid shit. But sometimes, broken clock is right twice a day. If there's one film I can't hate him for, and that I will always love him for, is The Patriot. A little over dramatic, but that's Melvin. It's a little over dramatic, but there were some great bits from it. One was Rene Auberjonois. He played the Parsons, and everyone's marching off to war, and Parsons, are you leaving us too? And he says sometimes, and he takes his hat off, and he's thinking sometimes you have to tend the sheep or tend the flock. Another, it's time to fight off the wolves. Same thing here, y'all. We live in a world of fighting and wars. This war is the way of the world. We don't like it. It's nasty. It's coming to an end. It will end. I promise you, it's coming. We're we're halfway there now. There's really, if we can get the blood feud going on between the Nordics over there with the Nords or whatever, the Viking folk, the Ukrainians and the Russians, and soon nothing those people love more is a heavy boot on their neck or a good war. We gotta fix that too. But the big one, yeah, it's in Israel, and I just kind of want to read to you out of the text itself, rules of engagement in a particular confrontation. We are in Numbers. We're going to start with it's not the Parsha. We're deeper into the Parsha, and maybe we'll get to the first part because you can tell how the Lord is so much more lenient with women. You think women are limited in the Bible, and they want to say that, because, we teach, modesty for women. It's like the biggest strength of a woman is her modesty. And that's somehow, we're just treating women and blah, 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 the horrible way we treat women in the Bible and the way that women were treated in the Bible. Man, if you really only took a chance to look, gave it a chance to look and read the thing, maybe talk to a rabbi a few times so you know how to read the thing, just in case. God is so much more lenient with women. It's not even funny. God gives it easy to women. That's all I'm saying. I love you, Lord. I think you give it to him easy as far as obligations. Childbirth stuff, I've been through 3 of them. Yeah, well, that's okay. Well, they got me beat on that, I'll tell you. My boy. Okay, so I've got some text here. We'll go over here to Chabad.org. We're going to do the screen share thing if I'm able to do it, if I'm technologically advanced. Okay, we're going to do the psychedelic part. We're going to go, ooh. Okay. Welcome to Chabad.org. Yes, these people right here. Tucker Carlson's greatest fear of the Chabad. I'm sorry. For that one, I'm gonna have to have a beer. Chabad. They're more deeper than they're like Mossad. It's like they're Moloch and Chabad together, or Moloch and Mossad together. He's just scared shitless of those people. If he only knew. If you ever saw him waving a chicken, if you ever just watched him dance or pray to God. Chaim. Okay. Let's get into some Torah here. Enough of this fun. Let's get serious. I tell you, even God has a sense of humor. Read Torah. There's humor all through it. It's just, it's difficult to get. We say rules of engagement. We'll say things like rules of engagement, won't we? And if you go by religious means, and God bless them, I'm not wanting to I'm not wanting to disparage anybody, but if you looked at it in a religious matter, well, we must forgive our enemies. No, you have to destroy your enemies. Well, if it's a religious way, then we have to. Okay, I'm going to read you, and we're going to see how things work, because there's only one people that you are required to kill everybody, and that's Amalek. And the Jews failed at that too. If anybody does genocide terribly, it's the Jews. The Jews are horrible at genocide. They suck at it. Everybody's saying they're genocide in Gaza, and their population's still increasing. Even though some of the people, good deal of them, are displaced, they're still making babies. That's worst genocide ever. Okay. Bamidbar. We are in Numbers chapter 31. I'm going to start reading before I talk. I could talk like this all night long. If you're here for me, we got something better going on here. God spoke to Moses, saying, "Take revenge for the Israelites against the Midianites. Afterwards, you will be gathered to your people." I could go on that for a while too. Moses spoke to the people, saying, "Arm from among you men for the army, that they can do battle against Midian to wreak God's vengeance on Midian." You must send 1,000 from each tribe, from all the tribes of Israel, into the army. From the 1,000 of Israel, 1,000 were given over each tribe, 12,000 armed for battle. So more men than were required. A voluntary army? Interesting concept, isn't it? Moses sent then the 1,000 from each tribe to the army, them along with Pinchas, son of Eleazar the priest, to the armor with the sacred utensils and the trumpets for sounding in his possession. Think about that. If there's anything a holy war, they take the priest and all the utensils he needs to war with him. I've seen Torah scrolls, like silver Torah scroll, where it's like the scroll is in a casing. I forgot the name of it. And they have it seat belted into a Jeep with another strap around it. Yeah, they take that into battle with them. Jews must have alien space laser magic technology to make. No, maybe they just take the Torah with them. It's not about the Jews, people. It's about their God. Always is, always was. Why are the Jews so good at shit? Because they're Jews. They mounted an attack against Midian as God had commanded Moses, and they killed every adult male. They killed the Midianite kings upon their slain, Evi, Rechem, Tur, Hur, and Reva, the 5 kings of Midian. They slew Balaam, son of Beor, by the sword. The Israelites took the Midianite women and their small children captive, and they plundered all their beasts, livestock, and all their possessions. They set fire to all their residential cities and their castles. They took all the booty and all the plunder of man and beast, and brought it all, the captives, the plunder, and the booty, to Moses and to Eleazar the priest, and to the entire community of Israel in the camp in the plains of Moab by the Jordan River opposite Jericho. You think that's a lot? That sounds harsh, doesn't it? In the modern way, it sounds harsh. Hang on. Moses, Eleazar, the priest, and all the princes of the community went out to meet them outside the camp. They say princes of the community. These are elders of each tribe, basically. The respected elder. Okay. Princes this is Chabad. The great resource. Funny translation sometimes. I don't understand why they say priest. I'll go with it. Something tells me Chabadniks know a little bit more about Torah than I do. Moses became angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds who had returned from the campaign of war. Moses said to them, "Did you let all the females live? They are the same ones who were involved with the Israelites on Balaam's advice to betray God in the incident of Peor, resulting in a plague among the community of God. So now kill every male child, and you must kill every male woman who's old enough to have carnal relations with a man. But you may keep alive all the young girls who are not old enough to have carnal relations with a man for yourselves." And real quick, if they're not old enough to have relations, you don't marry them. Marry women at 13, 14. It was that way for the first 5,500, 600, 700 years of civilization. Only recently have we, and partially because of the pill and chlorine, because we get to live a lot longer now. We live in a cleaner, different society. People would die of their teeth in their 50s. That somehow a woman is not a woman when she's 15, 16, 17. And that's a relatively new notion to the human race. Okay. We had a lot going on that we're also not supposed to do 5,000 years ago, but let's not fault ourselves from knowing, biology and how it is in the world. That's the youngest. Doesn't mean like every 13-year-old was immediately, given away in marriage. It doesn't work like that, but that was the youngest you can marry. You may keep alive all the girls who are not old enough to have carnal relations with a man for yourselves. And as for you, encamp outside the camp for 7 days. Whoever killed a person who torched a corpse must purify himself on the third and seventh day, both you and your captives. All garments, leather articles, any article made out of goats, and every wooden article must undergo purification. Eleazar the priest said to the soldiers returning from battle, "This is the rule of the Torah that God commanded Moses. But as for the gold, the silver, the copper, the iron, the tin, and the lead, whatever is used in fire, you must pass through fire, and then it will be purged. But it must be purified with dashing water. Whatever is not used in fire, you must immerse in water. You must immerse your garments on the seventh day and thus become ritually pure. Afterwards, you may enter the camp." I don't think our military does anything like that. We worry about those who come back from war and military service. And they have a lot of things to deal with. Perhaps there needs to be a buffer zone so the soldiers can be purified when they come home. Just saying. Just saying. God spoke to Moses, saying, "Take account of the plunder of the captive people and the animals, you together with Eleazar the priest and the heads of the paternal houses of the community, princes. And you must divide and plunder equally between the warriors who went out to battle and the entire community. You must levy a tax for God from the soldiers who went out to battle, 1/500th of the people, the cattle, the donkeys, and the flock. Take this tax from their half and give it to Eleazar the priest as a gift to God. From the half belonging to the Israelites, you must take 1/50th of the people, the cattle, the donkeys, the flock, all the animals, and you must give them to the Levites, the keepers of the charge of the tabernacle of God. There are also keepers, which we'll learn here at the end of the Parsha. We won't get to it reading, but we must set up sanctuary cities. When you enter into the land, you have to have at least 3. And this is for people, for instance, it's for the ger, by the way, too. But it's for the ger toshavim, if they're in the land, they're in. There's also the guy who didn't mean to kill. He swung an axe. The axe came off its handle and hit a guy, killed him. You did nothing wrong. You aren't worthy of death. But his family might want you dead. So for your protection and theirs, you're sent to a sanctuary city. Levites control that as well. Levites, like the priests, have no inheritance in the world. Their inheritance is the present day. That's what God gives them. He doesn't give them land. Every Jubilee, every 50th year, no matter who sells land and what, it all goes back to each respective nation, respective tribe. And but the Levites, the Cohen, the priests, they have no inheritance. Now is their inheritance. This is why you're always taking care of them now. All right. Hope that helps. Moses and Eleazar the priest did as God had commanded. The plunder, which was in addition to the spoils that the army had pillaged, consisted of 675,000 sheep and goats, 72,000 cattle, and 61,000 donkeys. As for the people, the women who were not old enough to have carnal relations with a man, they were 32,000. Regarding the half that was the portion of those who went out to battle, the number of sheep and goats, 337,500. And the tax to God from the sheep and goats was 650, 3,600 cattle, of which the tax to God was 72, 30,500 donkeys, of which the tax to God was 61, 16,000 people, of which the tax to God was 32. Moses gave the tax, which was a gift to God, to Eleazar the priest, as God had commanded Moses, From the half allotted to the Israelites, which Moses had apportioned from the men who had gone into the army, the community's half was 337,500 sheep and goats, 3,600 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 people. There are rules for engagement. When you're told to kill every last man, woman, and child, for instance, it's hard for people to do that. It was very difficult for Israel to do that. They failed. Saul told them, go do this. If you want to get rid of them, if you're serious, you have to take them all out. They didn't. I mean, even the cattle were perverse. And they are known to be apparently sorcerers, and sorcerers who could shapeshift. So you never knew if you were taking a cattle back, were you taking him, or were you taking the cattle, or were you taking somebody else? So hopefully we'll get to the Haftorah here, but real quick, I want to get to some commentary. Oh. This is from Dennis Prager on this week's Parsha, from the Rational Bible. I really recommend these 4 books. He's done Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The Rational Bible. God and Man in the Wilderness. It's a commentary. It's not just Dennis Prager. He brings in many other great minds to give great commentary on this. But it's if you're a beginner to Torah, you're interested in Judaism, but you love the Bible, you really got to get this series. You really got to get this series. Christian, Muslim, Jew, on the outside, come on in and read. So I'm going to read one essay before we get out of here on the seriousness of uttering oaths. Matot-Massei recently introduced a bill. It's not going to go anywhere. And this is Matot-Massei. I've talked about him before. He's a real douche. He's a real schmendrick. Introduced a bill to cut all the aid to Israel. We have an ongoing contract. It's negotiable. But to cut off our end, well, we need to save money on foreign aid. We give aid to 170 other countries. But he wants us to break our oath, our business deal, an agreement, a contract, an accord. Because he's a Jew-hating sack of crap. And here's to Kentucky for getting rid of him. Yeah. Here's to the bluegrass state. Cheers. All right. This is commentary on Numbers chapter 30, verse 3, 2 and 3. If a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath imposing an obligation on himself, he shall not break his pledge. The vows and oaths in this chapter do not refer to courtroom procedures, but the personal vows between an individual and God. Vows in the Bible are conditional. If you, God, do this, then I will do that. The first vow recorded in the Bible was an example of a conditional vow between an individual and God. Jacob, fleeing his brother Esau, vowed to God, if I return safe to my father's house, of all that you give me, I shall set aside a tithe for you. This is in Genesis 28, verse 20 through 22. A well-known example of such vows is that of a soldier in battle. If you, God, let me leave this battle alive and in one piece, I will, yada, yada, yada. Given how seriously the Torah regards words, Dennis Prager doesn't say yada, yada, yada. He has an ellipsis there, dot, dot, dot. But given how seriously the Torah regards words, the Hebrew word for words is also the word for things, divarim. It's also Deuteronomy. Because words are things. One can infer how seriously the Torah regards vows. If you vow to do something, even if no one but God knows about it, which is often the case, you are expected to fulfill it. In the words of the psalmist, a righteous person stands by his oath even when it is to his disadvantage. God utters existence into being. He doesn't use his hands. There's no hands. He utters. He speaks, and it happens. Funny how everything in the universe has a certain vibration to it, doesn't it? Google cymatics, Cymatics, cymatics. Based on the Torah, later Judaism came to regard vows so seriously that the opening prayer of the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, Yom Kippur, is Kol Nadri, all the vows. This prayer is a public proclamation made by the members of the congregation that any religious vows they will make in the upcoming year not be regarded as binding, lest an unfillable vow hinder a Jew's being worthy of atonement. Kol Nadre has nothing to do with the promises and obligations to fellow human beings. It in no way annuls a Jew's promise to repay a debt, for example. Regarding vows, the parental advice to children, think before you speak, is the governing principle. As Deuteronomy states, whereas you incur no guilt if you refrain from vowing, you must fulfill what has crossed your lips and perform what you have voluntarily vowed. Having made the promise with your own mouth, Deuteronomy 23, verses 23 and 24, as Ecclesiastes states, it is better not to vow at all than to vow and not fulfill. Telushkin notes that to modern ears, the Bible's concern with fulfilling what one swears to do sounds almost quaint. People often utter oaths that they are extremely unlikely to fulfill. For example, they might say after eating too much, I swear to God I'll never stuff myself like that again. And then overeat the next time they go out to a restaurant or partake in a holiday meal. The phrase translated here as imposing an obligation on himself literally means or creates a prohibition on his soul. The Torah is likely referring to some religious commitment, as when people, in a desire to become more pious, pledge to observe stringentness over and above demands made in the Torah. The Torah and later Jewish law discourages people from taking on more obligations or deprivations that God has already ordained. In the words of the Talmud, it is not enough that Torah has forbidden you. You wish to forbid yourself more things. Maimonides incorporated this view into his code of Jewish law. No one should, by vows or oaths, forbid to himself the use of things otherwise permitted. See the essay, Why People Add to and Subtract from God's Laws, Deuteronomy 13:1, right over there on the bookshelf. But if one has done so, as the next verse makes clear, he is obligated to fulfill his vow. He must carry out all that has crossed his lips. He shall not break his pledge. That means it crossed his lips. That means I vowed in my heart. I mean, you want to make a vow to yourself, that's fine, but prayer, I had a prayer in my heart. No. Prayer has to be uttered to where at least you alone can hear it. A prayer must be uttered. Words mean something. Why do you think God made a holy language and had prophets write down? Our words are important. Our oaths are important. Stand by them. Stand by them, even at your disadvantage, because it really isn't your disadvantage when you keep them. When you do it, when you keep a mitzvot, that's good stuff. And that's going to do it for me. Did I miss you, bro? Oh. Well, God can do it, but there's certain things that we need to do. And I hope I'm not too late in that, bro. Joe, thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you. If anybody tried to join in and I was busy on Chabad.org, I apologize. But thanks, bro Joe. Thanks, Carla, for taking a minute. Oh, that's right. That's Carla. I knew that. Okay. That's it. All right. Thank you. You, my favorite viewer. Every Thursday, 8 p.m., you get a biblical question. You want to talk to a rabbi, you want to hear it from a non-Jew who accepts the Torah, you're always welcome. This is universal stuff we discuss here in this hangout. Universally biblical stuff. At least from the perspective in Judaism, what is universal? So everybody's welcome. Everybody's always welcome. Be Pinchas. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next week. Have a wonderful Shabbat and victory in Israel. Shabbat shalom. Y'all be well. Peace.